recently, precisely this weekend, elder statesman and former military top brass Theophilus Danjuma said that Nigerian military is colluding with armed herdsmen in wreaking havoc in some states across the country. Now, his remarks have been causing or has been causing ripples across the country, with the military authorities firing back and criticizing him for the comment. Now, Theophilus Danjuma had made these remarks at the convocation ceremony of the University of Taraba in Taraba State. Now, while the Army veteran's comment is unsettling nerves and ruffling feathers in government, many say that his comments are not unconnected with the realities on ground. Today on Issues of the Moment, we will be looking at the consequences of his remarks on national security. I'm Eunice Johnson, and my guest on today's show is the executive editor and director of Forefront Magazine. He also is the former chairman, Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ Abuja Council. Mr. Amos Dunia is my guest. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Eunice.
Now, considering the power, or rather, we could call him a big name in the Nigerian military, in the Nigerian history, as far as Nigerian history is concerned. Now, that statement, first of all, where would you say that stemmed from?
Let me start by saying that I think we tend to lose our sense of appreciation in this country, in the sense that whatever anyone prefers, either as form of advice, suggestion, or comment, we do not want to take a critical look at it. What the Danjuma said is nothing new to what others have said before now. But the difference is the personality of Danjuma. That's what has created this report. Be that as it may, Danjuma was conscious with his choice of words. He said they are colluding. Collusion could mean different things. It could mean inaction. It could mean refusal to act appropriately. It could also mean deliberate act to turn the other way when certain things are happening that are supposed to nip in the bud. Be that as it may, I do not see a respected T.Y. Danjuma going off the course. No. Don't forget that T.Y. Danjuma is not an ordinary Nigerian. He's been in the ruling class in this country for so long a time. He has access to the president. And for him to have come out publicly meant that certain things are not going on well. It's possible he may have, in my own opinion, tried to reach out to the president before now, lay some of these complaints, and also possible that they were not addressed, which forced him to come out to voice out what he ought to have given. Probably
said behind the closed doors.
But again, you see the force that has spoken out. No. Obasanjo put his own observations in writing. IBB did the same. And on and on. If you listen to the South-South agitation for restructuring that took place in Bayelsa last week, a lot of these things were said. But are the complaints genuine? To me, I think they are. Because not up to 2 weeks ago, when President Buhari visited Plateau, the day he left, there were killings, specifically this local government, Bokos, I think, or Rio, and some of the youths and women, they demonstrated and said they were prevented from defending themselves. And before now, when they went to report to the military that, hey, these people are coming to attack them, the military said they had no orders to
go ahead.
So what are we talking about? These incidences also took place in Southern Kaduna 2 years ago, precisely around November, December in 2016, when killings were taking place in Southern Kaduna. The same complaints of the locals saying they were prevented from going to defend themselves. But it's easier when they report that, look, Fulani herdsmen are coming to attack. There is no blockade against these people. Benue said the same thing. You know, of recent, not too long ago, I think it happened in Enugu State also. And I've been reading in social media where, I think it's in Edo State or so, some people around Benin area complained that police were preventing them from even protecting their farmland. They were giving upper hand to the herdsmen to attack. And when you go to report, nothing happens. But if you mistakenly attack the Fulani herdsmen back, you are arrested and detained. You are not even allowed, even when the Fulani herdsmen injure you, to go to hospital for treatment, because they will query the hospital why you are treated. I don't know how far these things are real on social media are true, but these are things that have been going on. So for a personality like Tiwa Danjuma to have come out in the public at the first convocation ceremony of Taraba State University to lay that complaint means that there's more that meets the eye.
The eyes. Okay, so you're saying that word colluding is a relative term in this context and could mean anything.
It could mean anything.
But based on the references you made with regards to the security operatives preventing those who were being attacked from defending themselves, and also when they approached these people, they were also told they weren't giving orders to act. Now let's just react to that. At that point, yes, it was social media, and we know that it could have come from any source. But at that point, did the security operatives defend themselves when such allegations, we could say, were raised?
Most times, it's not just on social media that you hear such complaints from communities. You also watch them on television. At least of recent, I've watched some on AIT channels, which are some of the popular television we have. Beyond that is the fact that when you start having various complaints from different people, not same people, from different people, then there's an element of truth in it. It then means that there is a need for a critical overhaul of the security architecture in the country. Because if the same security men that ought to protect and defend the people are now having complaints against them, saying that whenever you go to them, they will tell you they have no orders to proceed, then it's a dangerous situation for all of us.
And it's questionable.
It's questionable. It also brings question mark on their integrity, which should be corrected.
Okay, so let's talk holistically now. Generally, what's your own understanding of the herdsmen crisis going on in different parts of the country?
Big question. I'm very complicated. My understanding is you have a group of militia that have become hydra-headed, making it difficult for everyone to have peace. And I do not believe they are beyond being curtailed. If there's the political will to do so. I'm saying this against the backdrop of what took place not long ago, when we have one character, Kanu, propagating iPod.
You mean Nnamdi Kanu?
Nnamdi Kanu, that's what I said. Nnamdi Kanu propagating iPod. I don't know how many weeks it took for the federal government to curtail these activities. So if Kanu, who was not as vicious as the herdsmen, because Kanu never killed, but we have herdsmen killing all over the states of the federation. The first thing I expect this government to do is to take a decisive action, pragmatic military action that will curtail them, because as far as I'm concerned, they are criminal elements that should not be condoned. So why are you pampering them? More importantly is that you have a situation where some people come to a press conference and take responsibility for those actions, to say because of a law enacted in a particular part of the country, so that's why they're acting. But what of those other states that didn't enact these laws? Was anti-grazing law enacted in Benue, in Kogi, I mean? Was it enacted in Southern Kaduna? Was anti-grazing law before the killings enacted in Taraba? Was it enacted in Enugu, in Edo, and so on and so forth, in Zamfara? I think we should be more serious and look beyond today. We must look beyond today and think about the well-being of the people, because the first and foremost primary responsibility of government is the welfare and security of the citizens.
The citizens. Yes, but do you think that the government, speaking of the government now, do you think the government has done well enough to try to put the situation in check or to control the situation as far as the herdsmen crisis is concerned?
You're asking an obvious question. If the government
then
had done
give us
enough,
an obvious answer.
If the government had done enough, we'll not be here talking about what Danjuma said. We'll not be here talking about the complaints coming from the communities. You know, it means that there's a failure on the part of government to address the issues critically. There's a complete failure. And if I was in the position of the president, by now, I think, with due respect, I don't know the details of intelligence report getting to him, but I think by now I will have overhauled the security apparatus. Yes, I will have. Do
you think that would be the solution to the problem?
You see, having served by May 29, President Buhari, who was looked upon with so much expectations before the elections and immediately after the elections. By May this year, he will have been 3 years in office. And if there's too many complaints coming to him, even if the security chiefs are not telling him the truth, but at least he's getting those things from the media and other sources of information, right? There is the need for him to have a good appraisal of the situation, and one of the ways of doing that is to have an overhaul of
the existing
security architecture.
But if you look at it, I'm still putting the question to you maybe in another form. Now, if you totally overhaul the security apparatus, then and you maybe co-opt or put together another one, the system is still the same. So don't you think that the solution is trying to restructure the system rather than a total overhaul? Because if the next one being set up, if there's a repetition, does it mean they'll keep overhauling or dissolving the security? Do you think that's the way to go?
Let me start by taking you back to 2014, 2013, up to early 2015, before Buhari took over as president. You had the same Nigerian Army in place, Navy, Air Force, Police, Civil Defense, and co, right? When Buhari came, I appointed Lieutenant General Buratai as Chief of Army Staff, and he moved to the northeast. The same military who were on ground fighting, what happened? There was a dramatic change, and they started confronting the Boko Haram that they were running away from, because there was change in leadership. It might be that for now, that same Buratai have run out of ideas, or his ideas are no longer working. You need another person who will come and give his own input. That is the way society or developed societies work. Do you see how Donald Trump keeps changing people, his advisors and so on? Because he wants results. That's how it should be. Do not forget, we don't know all these other appointees. The person whom we know and recognize is the president whom we all elected. So, give and take, the buck stops.
And then sometimes when things happen, people don't want to know the surrounding. They just
He's the one we have because he's the one I campaigned for. He's the one I voted for.
That you voted for. Okay, we would go on a quick break, and then when we return, the discussion would continue. Stay tuned. In case you're just joining us, the program is Issues of the Moment, and we've been talking about the recent statement by top brass military officer, or rather former, but still has a powerful name as far as Nigeria is concerned, T.Y. Danjuma, talking about the military colluding with herdsmen. And then my guest is Mr. Amos Dunia, who've been discussing and analyzing the situation. Now, moving on, do you think, on the other side of the divide, do you think that the military reacted appropriately to that statement?
I hope I'm safe if I say this, but I'm somehow disappointed at our present military.
Whoa.
They've turned themselves to a reactionary military. What T.Y. Danjuma said, if I am the head of the military, will have just kept quiet, knowing that he was one time their own chief of army staff. So, no matter how you look at it, he has his own ways of intelligence gathering and other access to information. He couldn't have just stood up to say what he said last week. All the military need to have done is to see how they'll be able to have an internal surgical operation within itself, get these things corrected. Are there situations like that? Go to the man and say, sir, we didn't know maybe some of these things are taking place. Please, can you give us an inside information that may not...
Like, where did that statement come from, and what can we do about it?
Where did this thing happen? Let's know what we can do about it, or that kind of... But they didn't. Instead, they've been reactionary. If Transparency International issue statement, military is reacting. If Amnesty International issue statement, military is reacting. Do we need that? No. All we are desirous of is results.
Okay, so you're saying they probably shouldn't have reacted.
They don't need it, because the more they talk, the more questions and issues that are more germane that were not even raised before
begin to come up. But don't you think sometimes in some situations people say that silence could be mistaken for accepting that you actually did what you're accused of?
What is wrong in accepting? When I said, for example, most communities, not in one local government area, not in one state, different states are saying the same thing. You think the people can be wrong? I don't think so.
So you're actually saying there's an iota of truth in what was said?
I have not said,
from your own...
I'm not only saying that, I'm saying that let's listen and accept what T.Y. Danjuma said.
And then work on it.
And work on it, absolutely. It's not for me to say whether it is true or not, but the most important thing is T.Y. Danjuma came out to say something that has been said before him.
Okay. So
before now, a lot of other people have said the same thing.
So this is
former secretary to the government of the federation in this country, his farm was invaded. What happened? His farm was completely burnt down. What happened?
Nothing.
We've been told that arrests have been made and so on. We've not seen one prosecution. Tell me which court you've heard of a Fulani herdsman appeared that is being prosecuted. Please tell me one.
Oh.
So what are we talking about? So are you saying the Fulani herdsmen or militias, they are, if they continue to kill people, we should be clapping? Or Tiwa DANJUMA'S should say, oh, go out or when you know they are coming, cook nice meals for them, put for them, so that when they finish eating, they kill you. Is that what we prefer Tiwa DANJUMA'S should say? The man came out to say what he said because...
It's more or less like the bitter truth.
Of course. Let's not run away from it. Let's address it. See, I always tell people that this country belongs to all of us. There's no slave amongst us. No slave amongst us. We must be ready to work and make this country work as a nation, except if we do not want it to run as a state. Then we think of other things to do. But as long as we want it to operate as a republic, then we must look at each other as one. If we're not willing and ready to look and take each other as one, I'm sorry, we might not have Nigeria.
Wow. Okay, let's take that as one out of many solutions that you might have in mind. So going forward now, what solution would you prefer to the herdsmen crisis and maybe subsequent ones that might, in the country, that might possibly come up? What solution? What do you think is the way out?
I appeal to President Muhammadu Buhari, whom I had high expectations of before he became president. See, I campaigned very well for him. He should display nationalism. He should make himself to look like that nationalist that we all see him to be. Forget whether he's Fulani, forget whether he's Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, minority tribes, Katab, Java. All right? Take decisive action. Whoever is involved, let him pay for the
His
criminal
or her own
act
actions.
he's committing. It's not enough for us to continue to sit down and you feel as if they're beyond reproach. If you can be arresting kidnappers, armed robbers, and so on, why are these Fulani herdsmen getting away with their own heinous crimes? They should be addressed. They should be arrested. They should be made to face the law. They are not bigger Nigerians than any other tribe. They should be addressed. Nothing more. That's my own personal opinion.
Well,
it may hurt, but that's the reality.
Okay, yes.
Let justice. See, that way,
they always say
justice and equity will be seen to have been critically addressed.
Okay, that's a good way to round off. My guest has been Mr. Amos Dunia, and we've been talking about the Fulani, the herdsmen crisis generally, the way forward, and of course, analyzing the recent statement by T.Y. Danjuma. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Eunice. Thank you, viewers.
Yes, thanks for being part of the program. On this note, we'll round off, and we hope that you join us same time, same station next time. For now, we say goodbye.